Hello and welcome everyone to Flicker Effect. This is a podcast where each week we chat about the world of film, television, and pop culture. This is episode number 194, and we're recording on Sunday, November 27th, 2016. I'm David Lotz. Joining me this week is Bobby Jackson.
What's up, everybody?
And Michelle Curry.
Hello, everyone.
For those of you joining us maybe via iTunes or just listening to the audio version, remember, if you would like, you can also find this podcast on YouTube. It should be youtube.com/Flicker Effect. And you can listen to the show there if YouTube is your thing. Leave us a comment on the video. We'd love to hear from you. You can always email us at feedback@flickereffect.com. We'd love to hear from you there. And hey, if you like the show, leave us a review on iTunes. That'd be awesome. If you don't like the show, just don't waste your time. It's not worth it.
You have better things to do with your life.
Go find another podcast. There's plenty.
Yeah.
And if you do go to YouTube, feel free to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you like the podcast.
Good idea. Yes.
We like subscribers.
I do.
They're free.
Yes.
It's free. It costs you nothing.
Right?
Exactly. Just hit it just for us.
Help some people out.
I like this plan. So, guys, it's been Thanksgiving week, nice holiday week. Lots of stuff to watch. Lots going on. How's everybody's Thanksgiving? Good.
Yeah, I'm disgusted with myself, though. I honestly feel like
did you not eat turkey or something?
I know. I just feel like I ate way too much. I mean, that's just generally the way it goes. But I don't know. I'm sitting here feeling like I'm having trouble breathing because I ate so much, and that's never a good thing.
That's pretty bad.
3 days ago,
that's
Bobby.
3 days ago, man.
I realize there's leftovers, but
yes, exactly. I haven't really stopped, so it's I got to get back on that on the train by Monday. So cut down on all that Thanksgiving stuff and just settle back down.
It's a slippery slope because I feel like, like for the week I was doing really good. Like I was making sure I ate a little more salads. I actually made it to work out like once or twice. Like I was like, I'm going to be good because I know, the food's going to be really heavy and there'll be leftovers and it's not going to be like the best weekend. But it's like also when you factor in, like I drove to my family and it's only 2 hours, 2 hours down, 2 hours back up. It's not a big deal, but it's like, yeah, I had junk food on the way down. I had my Dunkin' Donuts to get up in the morning. And then like on the way back, like I went grabbing like a McChicken sandwich at McDonald's or something before I even got on the road and like had that for my lunch. And like, it was just a weekend of eating crap, basically. Like it just turned into like, oh, I'm going to have my Thanksgiving cheat day with a few leftovers. And then it just turns into a whole cheat weekend and it just rolls into like eating anything and everything I wanted. Like the other night, I'm like, yeah, Chinese food sounds spectacular. Fuck this weekend. I'm going to eat whatever I want because it's clearly already blown way out the water. So, yeah, no. I don't even know why I think about it. I'm like, I should just know. Thanksgiving is just don't even think about it.
Right. No, I feel you. Well, yeah, plenty to talk about. Lots of things that we've seen. I haven't gone over with you guys any order I was going to do this in, so I'll just surprise you. Michelle. You watched new on Netflix, Gilmore Girls, A Year in the Life.
I did.
This is 4 long episodes.
So what they did was 4 90-minute episodes. And actually the last one was an hour and 42 minutes long. So it was like watching 4 short films. Like it's a lot. And I didn't binge it all in one sitting. I did one night. I watched the first 2 episodes, and then the second night last night I watched the last 2 episodes. And because it's a year encompassing an entire year, each episode was a season. So the first one started with winter, and that was our first like reintroduction back into the Gilmore Girls, and like kind of gives you a little catch up on where they've been. And that episode was just a lot of fun because they got like everybody to come back to do this show. And you're just seeing a lot of like really familiar faces that you watched for so many years. And it was fun to kind of see everybody reunite. And it just was like nothing really changed. There was changes, but at the same time, really nothing's changed. And so it was just kind of refreshing. And overall, it was a really enjoyable series as a whole. And the storyline got a little slow a few times, but it's really, I think they just did it for the nostalgia of the whole thing, for the fans. It was totally a fan base thing. Like, this was done for the fans. Like, this isn't like they're trying to recapture new audiences for this. This is like, if you're a hardcore Gilmore person, like, so many people I know, like, we have been waiting for this weekend to come. I mean, everybody I know, like, we've all been on Facebook and Twitter, and everybody's like, oh my God, how are you doing it? How are you planning it out? People are doing gatherings and showings and parties and weekend extravaganzas with it. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun photos, and like, if you're a real Gilmore's person, like, everybody knows, like, you should have, frosted Pop-Tarts, you should have red vines, you should have popcorn and either Chinese food or pizza. Like, you have to have Gilmore Girl junk food to go with your Gilmore Girl viewing of the show. So it was fun. I enjoyed it. I can't give too much away, but the last episode, there's a lot that happens in that last episode. I felt like, the first episode was like just reintroducing you to everybody, and the second episode, which was the spring, was probably the weakest out of the 4 episodes. The summer was pretty okay, and then the fall, man, that one just hit you like a sledgehammer. It was just so much they put in, and the way they closed it at the end was very like, they could do more. Like, it could be done. Like, it ended in such a like, wow, it's come full circle, but it also ended on a, they could do this again. They could do another one of these. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what they're going to do. Honestly, there's no word out on the internet if they are going to do another like year of in a few years or two or not, but they could. And it's interesting that they left it so kind of up in the air, and it was frustrating. Like, it was definitely like, what? That didn't just, what just happened? Oh my God. Holy, like, me heads were exploding. And so like, like, my mom was sending me messages, my other friends I know, they were like, did you just, I'm like, I know, what just happened? Like, it was, and I can't say anything because it's such a spoiler thing.
Right.
If you haven't watched this yet, but if you enjoyed Gilmore Girls at all, at any point, I would definitely recommend watching this, and it's a lot of fun, and just kind of brings you back to the fuzzy places, and the witty banter and quick talking, it's all there. The relationships are solidified, and I don't know, it's nostalgic, and it's just a lot of fun. So yeah, it was good times. I'm really glad I got to watch it.
Awesome. So yeah, I guess there's no like word out anywhere that there's been any talk about doing more of this. Any of us know anything, Bobby? Or you haven't heard anything?
No, I haven't seen anything. Okay. I mean, not that I'm not looking, but I usually see if there's something that Netflix is saying, oh, this is doing good, so we're going to give it a second season or whatever. And I haven't seen any word yet. I should say there isn't any word yet.
There isn't. I spent most of the day just perusing the internet, and like, there's a lot of discussions of, well, it's done, or is it done? It's just, if they left it in such a way that it could truly be done. They could be like, nope, that's how we're leaving it. That's totally how we're leaving it on the table. Things have come full circle in a weird way.
Right.
And then the other, like I said, it also just left it in such a like, oh my God, you could totally do another like 4 episode thing like this, like in a year or two. Easily do something like this again. But as of right now, Amy Sherman Palladino hasn't come out to say anything. That she's the writer, producer. She even directed the last episode, and she hasn't mentioned anything. Netflix hasn't mentioned anything, and I think they just wanted to kind of see how much buzz this whole thing was going to get, and what people's reactions were going to be. I think based on that episode, and how, like, what the fan base wants, because the fan base wanted this. This was such a fan-driven thing to do. Like, it just is. Like I said, they're not trying to. I mean, if they capture new people, if they capture a younger audience, like maybe, like, say if I had a daughter and I was like, oh, she's 10, she could totally watch this. Maybe she would fall in love with it. Maybe they would capture. But for the most part, they're not trying to purposely capture a new audience. This is literally for the fans. And I don't know. So yeah, I guess we'll find out. Maybe we'll hear something this week, which would be kind of cool. But yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
I liked it. I laughed. I cried. I laughed some more.
So you can say,
my heart was warm.
As a Gilmore Girls fan, you were happy.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Like,
nothing about it, like, killed Gilmore Girls for you or anything like that. Cool.
No, it's they kept it true, like the way the relationships were with each other, like the way Lorelai and Rory were, the way they were with Emily, you know, the way Rory was with her ex-boyfriends, because they pop up. Like, everybody comes back. So it's like in a weird way, like, people show up, and it was true to their character. It was true to the way their characters interacted with each other. And in some instances, it was bittersweet, you know, and it was kind of like, wow, this is what happens when you grow up. This is how life moves on. But it would be like, even if it was kind of bittersweet and it might have been an ending to a relationship, it was done in the way that relationship had always been carried out. Like, it was very like, yeah, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. Like, that's how they were with each other. It just was just kind of things like that. So yeah, it was very true. And I think they did a good job.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I saw a couple movies this week.
It's amazing what you can accomplish when you have a 4-day weekend.
I have time off, and yeah,
Man.
It's nice. Movie theaters.
It's like a list over here.
I know.
Oh my God, there's a list under David's name. This is insane.
First off, I saw a film that Bobby, you talked about last week, The Edge of 17.
Oh yeah.
To recap for anybody who didn't listen to last week, this is a film starring Haley Steinfeld, and we've also got Woody Harrelson in it, and Keira Sedgwick, among others, of course. It is a coming of age film. We've seen many of these. This is from a first-time director and writer, Kelly I think I'm getting that middle name right, Freeman Craig. And yeah, it's been getting insanely good reviews as far as I could tell. I think it's got like a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
It's pretty popular.
94%. It premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival this year, and it's making some money, I guess. I mean, it's a smaller release, it's not making huge money. And
Right.
Bobby, you liked it, right?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I did not. I was bored big time with this movie, and I don't get it. Like, and I want to say, when I say I don't get it, like, it's not that I don't get the movie. I do not understand why this movie's getting so much acclaim. Like, to me, it felt like a coming of age story that I've seen before about a million times. I didn't find anything about the comedy in it very entertaining. I didn't find it particularly funny, other than the stuff I'd already seen in the trailer. And I don't know. I just didn't enjoy this movie at all. And I don't know. I mean, and I fully get that I'm in the minority. So anyone listening to my review, I mean, hey, you know, like I just said, 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know how many reviews that's collected, but it's definitely pretty positive reviews. And I skimmed through the Rotten Tomatoes reviews to find the negative ones, so I could read a couple
Right.
to see, like, you know, this is one of those times I walked out of the theater and I'm like, am I crazy? Like, did I watch a different cut of the film? Like, am I missing something? Because I didn't find that this movie did anything for that genre that I hadn't seen before. And I don't know, like, maybe, you know, for anyone who hasn't seen a lot of coming of age films, maybe they might find this more entertaining than I did. But even so, like I said, I didn't find it particularly funny in general. And I mean, sure, it's got some good performances in it, especially Woody Harrelson and Keira Sedgwick. But I don't know. I am confused by it because I really didn't like it. So yeah, that's The Edge of 17 for me. Sorry.
I think it's kind of a little bit of what you said is that it has been a long time since you've seen this story and told in this way. There hasn't been a lot of these types of movies in recent memory that I can think of. And obviously the comedy is subjective in terms of what you find funny. So I think a lot of that could be chalked up to people liking this point of view from this particular character in a way that it's a snarky kind of character that looks at life in a way that I think a lot of people tend to visualize life when they're feeling like they're on the outside. And so I think it speaks to a certain type of person, or at least has the spirit of something that would have been some of those movies we kind of witnessed and saw when we were growing up. So I think it does have its elements to where people who haven't seen that type, who are kind of within that bracket of growing up seeing this and sort of experiencing it for the first time, and then people who are reviewers probably hearkening back to something that they haven't seen in a while, and having that voice in film and cinema again in this day and age. And I think, like, if I remember mentioning, for me, the movie shined the most, or was the best to me, when it was just Haley Steinfeld's character and Woody Harrelson's character. Their interactions with them together was enough for me, because I could have watched a whole movie of just them two kind of going back and forth with their banter.
Right. And I get that. I agree with that their scenes were more entertaining than others. But yeah, I don't know. For me, it didn't work for me at all. It was extremely, extremely predictable. I mean, sure, the ending was nice. I mean, not to spoil it, but, I was happy with how it ended. And I walked away from the ending with a more uplifting feeling about things. But at the same time, I fully expected it to end that way. And it ended exactly as I expected. And in the end, it did make up for the rest of the film I'd seen. So, yeah, Edge of 17 is definitely a huge 2 thumbs down. If we were doing thumbs up and thumbs down, that would be for me. I didn't like it at all.
We've turned into Siskel and Ebert.
Yeah.
I know. I was going to say, I think we need to come up with a rating system.
We should. We got to come up with something unique. I don't know, but yeah. I've always wanted to. I've always wanted to come up with maybe a low rating
star
system
or
something like
kind.
that. Let's see. If I were to use a letter, I've always liked the kind of letter grade system. If I were to
A's, B's, and C's.
Yeah, if I were to give this a letter grade, I would give it probably a D plus.
Wow, I was gonna say C minus for you, but wow.
I was leaning towards C minus, but I really just
Wow.
I was sitting in it 45 minutes in. I'm like, I could get up and leave. I'm good. I'm like,
wow.
I really am not seeing anything in this. That's how I felt. I mean, and it's frustrating when you see movies like that, and that it's so highly regarded. And it makes you almost question yourself. Like, is there something wrong with me? Like, I do a podcast where I talk about movies, and I feel like for the most part, I'm, kind of have my finger on the pulse of things when it comes to opinions on stuff like this. And I am like not on the same page with apparently everyone else on this. And it started to worry me. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me here?
I mean, it rarely happens when it does happen. I mean, like, I feel like that happened to me last year with M. Night Shyamalan's The Visit. You guys loved it, and I hated it. And I just felt like, and like, even like online, it was, people were loving it. They were enjoying the shit out of it. And I'm like, did I see a completely different film here?
Right.
And I felt like, what the fuck is wrong with me now? Like, why am I not enjoying this film at all? Like, I mean, this is a horrible example, but I'm just like,
no, that's a good example. I mean, like you said, and
I felt like
not as highly rated as this, I would say.
No,
but
it's
yeah.
not. I mean, this had rave reviews from Toronto, and it's getting. I mean, like, it's insane. But I'm just saying, like, in general, like, I get that feeling. You're like, well, everybody else is enjoying this. Like,
I mean,
what's
like I
wrong
said,
with me?
I dug around for reviews. I read one review. Forgive me, I forget the critic's name, but he's from The Village Voice. And he's actually a top critic on Rotten Tomatoes. And he had a negative review. And I read his, and almost word for word, I'm like, boom, everything this guy's saying, that's me.
Right.
Like, so there's somebody out there. Thank God.
Yeah.
Some little vindication for me, But, yeah. I mean, but for the most part, you're scrolling through the Rotten Tomatoes, and they're all positive. I'm like, there's got to be a negative one in here somewhere.
Wow.
Like, okay, there's one. I finally found one. And yeah, anyway.
Interesting.
So, I was bummed because I was looking forward to it, but it didn't work for me. Also, Michelle, you and I both saw Nocturnal Animals this week. And, well, since I just got done yapping, you can start off on this one. This is a new film by Tom Ford. It's his second film. Mm-hmm. His first film was A Single Man, which I don't know how you felt, but I enjoyed quite a bit.
Yeah, I actually borrowed your copy when I finally
right.
got to watch it, and I really enjoyed A Single Man. I mean, I'm not going to say the pacing couldn't have been faster, but overall, that film was beautiful. Like, it was and it's so sad to be like, well, it should be beautiful. It's from Tom Ford. That's right. The man, like, is a designer. Like, visually, and I feel bad because I feel like no matter what films he ever does, they are going to always have to be visually stunning in some way. Mm-hmm. Like, there's just, it almost like it's an expectation. And he delivered in A Single Man. And it's funny, I'm sitting here on IMDb and I'm reading this description for Nocturnal Animals, and I'm like, huh, wow, that's interesting.
I'll have to read this description.
I mean, it's not bad. It was just like, wow, I don't know if I would have quite said it quite like that, but it gets you there. So IMDb's description is an art gallery owner is haunted by her ex-husband's novel, a violent thriller she interprets as a veiled threat and a symbolic revenge tale, which does actually capture the film pretty well. Yeah, so the movie has got Amy Adams in it, Jake Gyllenhaal, Michael Shannon, Isla Fisher, and guy who played it, Armie Hammer. And yeah, so I feel like I'm still kind of sinking this movie in. And I saw this Wednesday night, and I feel like I keep thinking about things about this film. I've been trying to figure out for days now really what to say. And I'll say that overall, I enjoyed the film. I don't think I liked it as much as I enjoyed A Single Man. But at the same time, there's other things about this that I really did enjoy. I'll say, like, right out the gate, the opening sequence is intense in a way. Like, the opening, I can't think. The whole opening sequence, yeah, is kind of like, it definitely sets an interesting tone.
You're talking about the opening credits?
Yeah,
okay.
Opening credits, yeah. It sets an interesting tone right off the bat.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Very unexpected. It was very like, oh, yeah. So, again, though, I will say visually very stunning and in its own different way from his first film. Just the way everything is shot, everything has a place, and every place is specifically meant to be where it is. Like, it's designed for the eye to be taking in things all the time. The music I really liked a lot, actually. And yeah, there's moments that's very intense. And I don't know. I can't say a lot because I feel like if I say a lot about other things, it kind of gives away into spoilers. But like I feel like you really get a sense of where the main character of Amy Adams is and where the ex-husband's coming from, their viewpoints, and you're basically reading the novel along with her. And so you kind of get some pretty interesting feelings, and it's intense. It's intense storyline wise, and it's an intense emotionally. And yeah, I liked it. And I still can't really find words to describe everything. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I wish I could be more articulate about this film. But I feel like I'm finding a difficult time finding words to get my feelings about this film across.
No, I get it. Because I think I feel pretty much the same way you do. Like I just said, enjoyed Single Man quite a bit. And if I had to compare it to that, since they're both, Tom Ford films, I think I enjoyed A Single Man more. But I did enjoy this film. It's definitely, though, a movie that, like you're saying, kind of stuck with me for a while, and I couldn't stop thinking about. So I think that says something.
Right, like I would be like in the shower, and all of a sudden I'd be like thinking about a scene, and I'm like, that did play out interestingly.
And there's definitely some things in terms of interpretation that I'd love to talk about, but I'm not going to talk about here. I don't want to spoil anything. There are some things, though, I feel like, I can say about the plot that I don't really feel like are spoilers, that, this is a story where, as we know, she is reading a novel that she got from her ex. And there is no doubt that this novel is basically, playing out as an interpretation of, his relationship with her. And it's at the beginning of the novel is insanely intense and was almost hard for me to watch in a sense, Yeah. And the performances in the film are quite good, especially Michael Shannon. I really loved Michael Shannon in this. And it was a very good movie. And yeah, I'm kind of left not knowing what to think about it when it comes to like the pantheon of films where I would put it, but or even just movies this year. I mean, but yeah, I don't know if I enjoyed it as much as Single Man, but I did like it, and I would be interested to talk about it more with you and other people. So I don't know. It's interesting. I've got nothing else to say without talking spoilers. So if someone asked me would I recommend it? I recommend it. I think it's a good watch. It's definitely not going to be for everybody, but
Yeah. In a way, it was kind of hauntingly beautiful.
Yeah. And A Single Man was that way too.
And The Single Man was that way. Exactly. Yeah. I will say that I feel like the pacing in this film was much better this time around. I feel like Tom Ford kind of learned some lessons maybe from doing A Single Man. I feel like the pacing went a lot better. And I don't know about how you feel, but I'm watching this and Jake Gyllenhaal, I thought he was delivering a spectacular performance in this
Absolutely.
film.
I know I singled out Michael Shannon, but nothing against him or Amy Adams. Like Amy Adams honestly wasn't a huge player in this movie.
No, she wasn't.
So, I mean, what she had to do was fine.
Right.
But yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal was fantastic in it as well.
I thought he was great.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can almost say that there could be a nomination for him for this. Like I feel like I can almost say that. Not necessarily a win, but I feel like there could be some nominations for this for him.
Right.
I can feel it.
You know what's funny is I'm sitting here looking at the IMDb casting list, and when we're sitting in the movie theater and we're watching these opening credits, and I didn't realize all the actors that were in this. I'm watching the opening credits
There's
and
a
thinking,
lot.
holy shit, this person's in this, and this person's in this, and Jake Gyllenhaal, Michael Shannon, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Isla Fisher, Armie Hammer,
Laura Linney,
Andrea
Michael
Riceborough,
Sheen.
Michael Sheen, Laura Linney, like you just mentioned. And I remember sitting in the theater like, holy shit, I didn't know all these actors in this film. And then the film, I got into the film. I completely, wasn't thinking about what actors are in this and when am I going to see them. And it should say something that I completely forgot that Aaron Taylor Johnson was in this. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at IMDb now going, holy shit, that's right. He was that guy? I didn't even realize that was Aaron Taylor Johnson. I mean, okay, cool. Yeah, sorry.
You really get lost in their performances,
Yeah,
honestly.
absolutely.
Like it was just really the story is really the novel and then the storyline of the film are very strong, and it's really you really get lost in this film. Like I mean, there's moments I forgot I was sitting in a movie theater. Like you're just really enveloped into what's happening on screen. And again, I feel like visually that had a lot to do with it. I think the music and the sound was spectacular, and I feel like it really encapsulate it. And I want to see this film again soon. Like I want to sit down and watch this film again because I enjoyed it, and I feel like there's more to it than what I even could take in just sitting in the theater. So, yeah.
No, I agree with you. So yeah, I liked it. I don't know if it'd be in my top 10 this year, but it was quite a good film. Moving on, I also saw a film that you saw, Bobby. And that is Disney's Moana that was released this weekend. New film from Walt Disney Feature Animation. Bobby, I want to let you go first on this one. You saw Moana. What did you think?
Yeah, I did get to see it. It's weird because I'd been hearing a lot of buzz about it prior to me seeing it. And the buzz has been really, really positive. So with me going into it, I think I was looking forward to it, but not really knowing what to expect just because it seems like the previews had been kind of it was almost as if they're trying not to show too much in the trailers, because really once I saw the actual film, there's so much more to it than just what the trailers kind of lead you to believe. And I enjoyed the movie. And I was surprised at how it kind of caught me off guard in a way, because I suppose I knew going into it, it was a musical Disney movie, but I think I wasn't prepared for that aspect as much as I thought going into it, because I think it's been a while since I've seen a musical film, whether it's animated or live action. So it's kind of a strange when all of a sudden people break out into song, because you just kind of forget that that's kind of the trope of a musical anyway. And so seeing it in this form, it was different. It took me a minute to get adjusted to the fact that the characters were just singing, and the which is to say nothing about the actual songs, because the music was catchy, and I did find myself humming along to them as you go on. And after I adjusted back to the fact that this is a musical uh, film, I really was impressed with not just the visuals, because Disney and Pixar, when they do these movies, they've got a handle on that. So it's almost like you don't have to mention that, because that's going to be one of their strong points that they're going to do with their films. But it still is worth mentioning. Especially, I always like seeing water effects in animated films for some reason. I thought it was handled really well. Although, oddly enough, I would still put the Good Dinosaur's water effects above this one for some reason. It really looked photorealistic in the Good Dinosaur. And this still looked really, really good, but just for some reason, Good Dinosaur sticks with me in terms of the visual effects for the water. But the story is something where this, I guess, just a little quick summary of what the story is you have this girl who is the daughter of the chief of an island, and this island has been very much this center of their world for as long as she can remember and as long as her parents can remember. But something is starting to make the island kind of die. And so Moana feels like it's up to her to restore the health of the island and go out on this adventure. And the sea has always been something that she's wanted to explore, but has never been allowed because it's been a dangerous place beyond their reef. So she eventually ventures out and seeks to get the help of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's character Maui, who plays a demigod, in order to help her get back this what was it called, the jewel, or the heart of the sea, or I forget what it was called, David.
It's the heart of something.
It's not,
Yeah,
so not the heart of the ocean, that's for sure.
It's
No.
heart of something. But
green rock
to get
is
it
what
back
it is,
to
basically.
this island in order to restore the balance of everything. And what's so crazy to me about it or I should say, what I really enjoyed the most of it, because I would say, like, if we're going letter grades, I would probably give it a solid B. But what it made me really, really enjoy it more than just the actual grade that I give it is the fact that this story was singularly about this girl Moana and her journey, and the character had so much agency that it was just impressive for anything that I've seen Disney do in a long time, as far as having this female character that isn't dependent upon some guy saving her, or it being about indirectly this guy or whatever. It was all about her and her story, and her getting to be the person that does the acts of courage and gets to have her say in her own destiny. So that's what I really thought was well done about it and enjoyed the most. And there's like little things that kind of bug me. That's just one of those natural things that I guess Disney movies and other movies in general are guilty of, when there's the animal sidekicks. And, there was this one in this movie that was like a chicken that I didn't never really particularly find funny what it was doing, and was kind of annoying at times. But aside from that, and it's very small, minor nitpick, but aside from that, I really did enjoy it.
Yeah, I also saw it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Really?
I was very, very happy with it. I've been looking forward to this for a while, and since they announced it anyway, and I don't know why this in particular seemed like it would be interesting to me. And yeah, it didn't disappoint whatsoever. It's interesting. I was reading a review afterwards, and I came across the review on Slash Film. It was written by Ethan Anderton, if I'm getting his last name right, over at Slash Film. He concludes by saying toward the end of his review, that or is this quote? He says, Moana might be the best movie overall that Walt Disney Animation Studios has ever created. And,
Whoa.
It's hard for me to compare it to a lot of earlier stuff because nostalgia comes into play. And, also just years and years of filmmaking. It's hard to compare a movie like this to, say, Beauty and the Beast, which I've always said is probably my favorite animated film. But this is quite good, and I'm very, very pleased with it. The music in it, I loved. This was a score written by Mark Mancina, and then he had also worked on the songs with, as we know, Lin-Manuel Miranda and Opataya Foai, if I'm getting his name correct. It's great music. And I walked out of the theater and immediately put it on Spotify in my car, and listened to it on the way home. That's, I was immediately drawn to listening to it again. And I've listened to it a few times since then. and yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed the movie quite a bit. It was also nice, I think, like you just touched on too, that we have a female character in this that, she does her own thing. There's not any type of romantic storyline in here that comes into play whatsoever, which was nice to see. That is a bit of a change for Disney. Mm-hmm. And like you said too, you almost feel like you don't have to mention the animation because it's going to be good. But at the same time, every time they put out a movie, it's always just slightly better. And even just the movement of the characters in it just looks incredibly good. I haven't seen Good Dinosaur, so I can't speak for the water effects in that. But the water in this, the ocean, which by the way is it's interesting that they made the ocean a character in this movie. And it looks amazing. I mean, also things like their hair, like the way her hair moves and his hair, if you were to remove their hair from everything that's going on, you'd be like, that's real hair. That's not animated. It looks insanely good. Yeah, I don't know. This film worked for me on a lot of levels. I was super, super happy with it. And yeah, I went and saw it with my son, who seemed to enjoy it as well, for as much as I can get him to sit down for 2 hours and pay attention. But, yeah, I enjoyed Moana quite a bit. I hope it does financially well, and we'll get to box office numbers in a little bit. But yeah, I liked it. Super happy.
Listening to both of you guys, it reminds me a lot of like the movie Brave that they did a few years ago.
Pixar film, yeah.
Yeah,
that was Pixar.
And well, I mean, yeah.
Well, yeah, Disney Pixar. We know it's all the same, but
so because in that one, like the animation in that is, I still think it's was some of the best I've seen in a long time. And I haven't seen Moana, so I don't know. But like, yeah, I'm watching it, and her hair is like a whole other character in that film. Like her hair is just it's magical to watch it on screen. It's intense. It's amazing. And yeah, it's like another strong female character that doesn't necessarily have a love interest, and so I like that they're kind of departing from the constant like she's a princess and there's a prince and they fall in love within 24 hours and they're gonna get married and they're gonna live happy. Like it's gonna all kind of eventually come together that quickly. And so it's nice to kind of see Disney departing from the traditional fairy tale story that everybody really is familiar with, and to see them really challenge kind of I don't know, the norms of a female character within a make-believe storyline. So it's nice.
Yeah, and I mean, those who haven't seen the movie too might point to the fact that, hey, you've got this male character in it, though, Maui, that, is helping her along. But a lot of the decisions she ends up making in the movie are her own. She does her own thing in this. And yeah, Maui's there, and he is a powerful demigod. But yeah, it's not like... Pretty much for the most part, she goes on this journey on her own, and yeah, she gets help learning some things from him, but it's minimal, I would say. And you mentioned the like things that maybe annoyed you, like the animal kind of sidekick thing. Yeah, I will say I agree. Like the chicken, which is the more prominent one compared to, I guess there's a pig in this too.
Right.
But the chicken has some more screen time, and yeah, it's kind of silly. I mean, it didn't necessarily do anything for me, but it had funny moments that they used it, and I also like the fact that Disney points out the fact that in this movie, they kind of make fun of themselves of the fact that they do this. I mean, and I'll have to see the movie to see what I'm talking about, but
it's kind of a Disney staple to have animated creature that's their best friend, sidekick kind of thing. And I think a lot of it is really, Disney started doing it a while ago, and it's really to keep the youngest audience members engaged in the film. Like,
Yeah,
to
and it
constantly
works,
bring them back. That's what it is. It's
watching
to
the
constantly
movie
bring them back
with
in.
my 4-year-old, there are points where I'm like, he's squirming around in his seat, and then things will happen, like things would happen with this chicken in this that did like kind of get him back in.
Right, it brings them back.
Yeah, so that stuff works, and I'm taking my kid who did enjoy it overall. It's nice to have things like that to keep him engaged, because he definitely is going, hey, look at these lights on the ceiling, shit.
Yeah.
The
seat rocks.
Right.
I will say there's one trope that happens in this film that it's been done to death, and I wish they would kind of just not do that anymore. But it's at this point it's almost cliche and predictable, but it's just it's not necessary all the time. I don't think it's necessary all the time to send their hero off on a journey because of something that is an inciting incident that typically makes the character do what they do. I'm trying to dance around it, but yeah, it's when you see the movie, I'm sure you'll kind of get it if you don't get it by me dancing around it.
Yeah, honestly, even with you dancing around it, I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about. So, and I saw the movie, so
I'll mention.
I was gonna say we'll talk afterwards.
Yeah.
That way we're not giving any spoilers away. I'm curious.
Exactly.
Maybe we'll do a little segment.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Moana. I enjoyed it. I think we both enjoyed it quite a bit. And that's really all the movies we saw this week. Though, if you want to count that, I saw Bad Santa. I hadn't seen Bad Santa before. But
That counts.
That counts. I had seen Bad Santa. I saw Bad Santa this week. It was what I expected.
With the sequel just also coming out this weekend, it's good timing for you to see the first one.
Yeah, I'm almost extremely certain I will not make it to the theater to see Bad Santa 2, but I'll see it eventually, probably when it comes out on video.
Right. But your timing is in.
Yeah.
I get it. It's in line. It's the holiday season. The sequel just came out this weekend too, so it makes sense that you watch the first one. I get it.
My wife and I were hanging out. We were in the mood to watch something, but not like really like anything too serious. And we had said something about Bad Santa 2, and I'm like, you know what? We can watch Bad Santa. I noticed it's on HBO now. We can watch that. So I watched it. It was good. About what I expected. I don't know.
I feel like that movie is what it is. Yeah.
It is what it is.
Well, you said it's good, so I mean, I actually didn't know if you would even give it that much of a thumbs up, so to speak. I just kind of thought you might not like it, or just thought it was whatever, more so than actually saying it was good. So that's good. At least.
I mean, it was entertaining. I laughed at parts. It did what I hoped and expected it would do. And I hadn't even realized it was as old as it was. We played the game, my wife and I, early on. We're like, let's guess what year this was. And we both overshot. Like, we thought it was more recent.
Oh.
You look like you want to guess, Michelle. So what you guess?
I want to say Bad Santa was 2006.
I think that's what I guessed. And yes, I was wrong. Bad Santa was 2003.
Wow.
Yeah. I did not think it was that old.
I think 3 years is a big difference, but geez, wow.
Still, yeah. I'm like, man, they waited a while to put that sequel out.
It came out when I was in college. Jesus.
Yeah, that came out when I was living in Los Angeles. I didn't realize. But moving on, Bobby, you did. It wasn't a TV show or a film, but you did finish the book that you started after me and now have finished before me.
Well, you went and you watched things this weekend.
Yeah, I went and watched things.
Let's give David his credit. David actually watched stuff.
Bobby finished this book, which, by the way, we're both doing via audiobook. But it's unabridged, so it's the whole thing. And that's Star Wars Catalyst, which is a Rogue One novel. It is kind of a Rogue One prequel novel. This has been my first experience doing Audible. I don't want to say I've never listened to an audiobook. I listened to an audiobook once. It was an autobiography, actually. But that was a while back. That was years ago. And it was on CDs. And so,
we're so old. We were listening to things on CDs and cassette tapes.
Yeah, I mean, I remember my mom listening to a ton of audiobooks when I was a kid, and it was like those books of cassettes,
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And you get from the library. She would always get them. And Yeah, I've always heard about Audible, and it's funny. I get a text, Bobby, you texted me, hey, you're gonna read Star Wars Catalyst, and I'm like, dude, there's no way I'm gonna get through that book before Rogue One comes out. It's not gonna happen. And you reminded me, hey, you could do an audiobook, and I'm like, you know what? Why not? So I signed up for the Audible free trial. They give you the first month, basically the first book for free. So I decided to give it a shot, and I'm over halfway through it now. But Bobby, you finished it.
I did.
Anything you want to talk about without talking about details of this?
Yeah, I don't.
I have
wanna
a feeling
get too...
you and I will probably sit down, maybe do a bonus episode and talk about this more in
Exactly.
depth before Rogue One comes out. But yeah, your thoughts on the book?
Yeah, it's exactly as you said. I figure we'll probably do something at length with spoilers before Rogue One. So I just wanted to at least mention it here, just for anybody else that could be listening at this point, that maybe it'd be a good idea for them to check out. Because as you said, you're used to more or less reading books as opposed to listening to them in an audio form. And audio form is perfect for if someone has to commute to work, or just when there's time when they're in the car and maybe have a few minutes at a time, they can listen to it. As David said, I started after him, and I already finished it by yesterday. And I think I started. Let's see. I think I started. I want to say I started either on Thursday or Friday. I can't remember specifically, but yeah, it didn't take me all that long to finish it. And granted, it was a little bit too, I guess, at the expense of watching a second movie this weekend. But I was happy to do it because I was definitely into the story. And the story it is called Catalyst, and what it is basically a prologue to the Force Awakens, or not the Force Awakens, but to Rogue One. And it tells the story of the Ursos, which in the film Rogue One, you see Jyn Urso, and she is the daughter of Galen Urso and Lyra Urso. And so it tells their story, her parents' story of essentially how they got mixed up in all of the aspects of helping to, I guess, arm the Death Star. And it's such a good. It's been a while since even I've listened to an audiobook, but it was so good to get back into it. And not just that, but also this Star Wars story, because I really feel like going into a Rogue One or Rogue One's movie, I will have a better informed opinion of a lot of the characters that were prior to seeing them in this film, what they were like. It's really the ultimate way of getting backstory without having to just have it told to you in a way that is just set up that you don't really get to have that experience of connecting with those characters. And you really do connect with the characters in this way. You get to also have some of the aspects of Orson Krennic, which is played by Ben Mendelsohn in this film, Rogue One. So he's also in this Catalyst book, and you see his relationship as it pertains to Galen Urso, and how he befriended him at an early age and essentially kind of got him involved with the Death Star. So it's all very, very interesting in the way that it builds this Star Wars legacy outwards and includes other characters in there that you know of as well, and how they played a part in things. And one of the big things I guess I've gotten from reading it is just how much and how complicated it was to actually get the Death Star in the first place. It wasn't just because in the movie, when you see A New Hope, it's just there. And so you're just like, wow, this thing is huge. And you don't really have any kind of semblance of what it took to get it to where it became at in Star Wars A New Hope. You just see it and you take it for granted for what it is. But the undertaking that it took to be able to actually create this thing is essentially what this story is about. And it's pretty intense and very, very good. So I really liked it a lot.
Yeah, I'm hoping I'll finish it this week. So hopefully before our next episode, I hope to have it done. But so far, I'm enjoying it. And this is really, sadly, even though I've even purchased other Star Wars books and talked about going to read them on the air here. I never have, and never finished one. I've started them. I like reading. I just never fit it in. I mean, with the 2 kids and the job, reading is not happening. And that's why I kind of like laughed when I first got your text about reading this. Just like, I would love to, but there's no way in hell. So you mentioned the audiobook, and I'm like, well, I've got about at least a 30-minute drive to work and more home because of traffic, that I'm like, at least during my commute, I could give this a shot. So, and I'm liking it as an option, so far. It's interesting, listening to this one guy do this narration and do all these voices. I'm fully expecting to be basically like him, just read it. And I mean, he's doing full on voices for each one of these characters. And I'm just trying to imagine being able to handle that, like as a narrator, like remembering exactly doing all these voices yourself. I'm like, this is just incredible.
Which voice matches up with each character.
Right.
Okay.
And you had given me a heads up, Bobby, that I didn't realize there would be sound design in this too. Like as a Star Wars book, I mean, there's some music, there's some very few sound effects, not much really, but more just kind of like background ambient noise sometimes. But yeah,
it's still more than you would normally get for a regular audio book. Like, you don't. They don't do that usually.
Oh, they do that apparently in Star Wars books. And they're doing it in this one. So, yeah, it's kind of cool. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Yeah. So I'm enjoying the experience so far. I'm looking forward to finishing it. And, we had already talked about a little bit, Bobby, how, we talked about this off air, I should say, how, listening to this, because I'm not spoiling to say it takes place starting off, before episode 3 and then continues to after episode 3 before episode 4. And I'm listening to it because I really haven't watched the prequels in a while. I think we've all said our piece on the prequels, and I'm not a fan, and I, don't even own them. I don't really go out of my way to watch them. And it's been a while since I've watched them. So I start the book off, and, they're talking about Count Dooku, and I'm thinking, wait a second. Like, I completely forgot when he died, sadly. Like, and then, I call myself a Star Wars fan, and I'm like, I'm completely thinking he died at the end of episode 2, like forgetting that he died at the beginning of episode 3. And I'm like, oh yeah, that finally clicked. I'm like, fuck, maybe I should rewatch these movies. It's been a while. And because there's so much happening in that timeline, politically and everything, that I'm like, I'm actually slightly interested. Don't get me wrong, I'm still going to hate them, but slightly interested in sitting down and watching that original, the episodes 1, 2, and 3 trilogy again, just to kind of remember some more details. But
I've never been a big fan of the films, but what I always did enjoy was the political aspects that were constantly happening, and watching that develop throughout, especially the third one, and seeing those kind of play out. But it's funny because of Thanksgiving weekend, like all these like cable networks, like one of them was literally playing all of them back to back all day long Thanksgiving. So it was all of them. And at one point, like we flipped through and I caught a little bit of the second one and wasn't really paying attention. I was really more reading a book and had it on in the background. And then the third one comes on. At one point, my mom walks in and she's like, God, I don't think I've seen this since I saw it in the theater however many years ago. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be honest, I don't think I've watched the third one since I saw it in the movie theater when it came out back in 04 or 05. Like, it's been a while. And so, but at the same time, like, I kept finding myself, like, watching the political points of that film. Like, I was like, every time I would actually look up, it was like, oh, yeah, this is interesting storyline-wise for the politics of the universe and everything is kind of going down. Right. So, yeah.
Well, if you enjoy that, then this you would definitely dig, because I feel like it digs into that way deeper. And if that's the thing you liked about the prequels, which I can agree, if there's anything decent about the prequels, that's probably it. Then
like the Senate scenes and everything, like I really enjoy the whole, like, everybody's basically playing everybody else to get this, it's like it's politics. It's everybody's doing one thing to get the thing they want accomplished by roundabout this way. Like, that's literally what's happening in here all the time. And so it's like, there's an end game, but it's literally like 4 paces down the road. Like it's like playing chess. You're thinking 4 moves ahead of what you're doing.
There's a lot of chess in this.
Yeah,
Catalyst, and that's exactly kind of what was the other thing that really gave me insight from listening to the audiobook was that there's so much politics at play, and it's done in a way here that made me appreciate the prequels more for the politics that was being laid down, which is what makes me want to go back and watch it, because I guess at the time I understood what was going on, but I wasn't paying enough attention to how it was going on in terms of like the long game that Senator Palpatine was playing in terms of having Count Dooku be a part of the Separatists, but yet still working for him, and while working against, him in the same manner as a way to weaken the Separatists and to essentially get them under control. And it's just so much of it that it's really, it took a lot of insight and planning, and you really get a lot of respect for the Empire and some of their people because of just how intelligent and smartly they played these things out. And it's a wonder, and it made me really feel like, okay, maybe I need to take a second look at those prequels, and at least for those parts, because like David said, it's not necessarily going to make the movies better, but it will give me a better appreciation for certain aspects of it.
Yeah, especially after reading this, and which takes place in that timeline, it'll be nice to go back and watch them and fill in some of these other details that they point to, in the book. So after I finish it, I probably will go back and, if anything, maybe just episodes 2 and 3.
Right.
I don't really know that I have a reason to watch episode 1 again, but anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, hopefully I'll finish that this week, and but that's really all that we've been watching and reading or listening to this week. Before we talk about a couple trailers, I'll get into the box office real quick. Looking at the weekend box office, and this is just the 3-day weekend. Moana did come in at number 1 with 55.5 million. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them at number 2 with 45 million. Doctor Strange in its 4th weekend release is at number 3, pulling in another 13.3. Allied, a new release that none of us have seen yet, but that did come in at number 4 with 13 million, and Arrival at number 5 with 11.2. Of course, this was a Thanksgiving weekend, though. So there were, like Moana did come out. It's been a 5-day weekend for that. It did pull in a total of 81.1. Where does that rank it? Again, I think that makes it second for the largest Thanksgiving debut ever, which is behind Frozen, which pulled in 93.6 million. So yeah, that's our box office numbers. Cool. A couple trailers did come out this week. Martin Scorsese's Silence. We got a trailer for that. This is a film starring Andrew Garfield. I don't know a lot of details, and if either of you do, please fill me in. It's my understanding that this is actually a passion project of Scorsese that he has been wanting to make for quite a long time. And which should hopefully bode well for the quality of the film. I mean, if you got a director like Scorsese who's been apparently dying to make this movie for years and years and years, like 30 years or something, if I've heard correctly.
Wow.
Hopefully, he has poured a lot of heart into this film. And I will say right off the bat that the trailer looks incredibly good. I kind of side note, I was thinking as I watched, I'm like, man, Adam Driver looks so like emaciated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they all do. Even Andrew Garfield does look pretty thin as well.
Not that they're very thick guys to begin with.
They're not, but they look pretty damn thin.
No, they do. They do. They definitely have not eaten a good solid meal in a while.
No. But no, it's not like we're talking about somebody who's much bigger suddenly losing a ton of weight. But, without, going into a lot of details, Silence looks good. I'm looking forward to it, and I've always liked Scorsese films, and knowing that this is like a passion project of his, makes me even more interested. So yeah, I'm interested in Silence. Michelle, you just watched the trailer?
I'm very hit and miss with Scorsese films, and the trailer really didn't do anything for me. It doesn't look bad per se. It just doesn't capture my interest.
Huh. All right. Bobby?
I'm into it. It looks like it's going to be something that is going to be very dramatic and intense, and just a story that's interesting to just see on the screen. I don't know exactly what all it will unfold and entail, but it just looks like something that has a cinematic look to it that would be worth viewing in theaters and seeing something in a long form storytelling in the way that Scorsese can do without it seeming like something that's your typical popcorn fare. It just looks like it's going to be something you're going to really have a lot of meat on the bone that you'll be able to get into and really dissect once you're able to kind of take the whole thing in.
Right. I mean, I think the biggest thing for me too is, even though I had watched the trailer and was like, this looks like it's going to be a good film, and then I'd heard about it being like what it was for Scorsese, then I'm like, well, I feel like then there's probably even more here that I'm not even realizing. Like for you to be so dedicated for so many years that you're like, this is some story I've got to say. Like, well, now I'm even more interested to know, like, what is it about this story that has consumed you for so long that you're like, I've got to put this on film. So there must be something. Now I really want to know what the hell it is. So, that's Silence. What is the release date for Silence? It is in January. That's all I know. Moving on, there was another trailer for a Sean Penn film, The Last Face, starring Charlize Theron and Javier Bardem. It looks like Charlize Theron plays a director of an international aid agency in Africa. She meets a relief aid doctor, played by Javier Bardem, amidst a political and social revolution. And, I'm not going to go into a lot more details about this. I mean, this looks good. This in particular also, I will say, doesn't really like draw me in. I mean, I like these actors. I enjoy Sean Penn's work, but other than that, I don't watch this trailer and feel like, man, I really got to see this. I'm kind of like ho-hum whatever on this one. Michelle?
Yeah, I'm kind of ho-hum on it, but I mean, I'm curious. I will say it's Sean Penn directing, and I think it said writing too. Did it? I don't know.
It shows somebody else as a writer, Aaron Dignan.
Well, Sean Penn directing, and Charlize Theron and Javier Bardem. And I will say, and I was watching it, and I'm like, this is the most normal, natural looking I've seen the two of these actors look in a while. Usually there's makeup and hair and prosthetics and all this, and I'm like, wow, they're very au naturel, which is nice. It's refreshing to see that, because I feel like I haven't seen that from them in a while. But I'm watching this trailer, and it has, like all I kept thinking was, I'm like, this is reminiscent of a film that came out a long time ago with Angelina Jolie and Clive Owen called Beyond Borders. Like, I'm watching it, I'm like, it gives me that feeling to it in a way. And I was just kind of like, I don't know, because that movie was kind of not everybody's thing. So, I don't know. I'm left kind of curious, but I don't have to see this film.
Bobby, any thoughts?
I feel like this is something I want to see based on the pedigree of it, with having Charlize Theron, Javier Bardem, and Sean Penn directing. But it's more or less, it'll probably come down to what I see the critics might be saying in terms of whether or not I'll go see it in the theater. It definitely, it feels like it'll be something I'll see at some point in time. It's just a matter of, will I see it in the theater, or will I catch it when it comes out later on home video and all that stuff?
Yeah, I've got a feeling this is going to be a watch at home kind of thing for me.
Yeah, it would have to be like just such critical acclaim that I'd be like, okay, I guess I have to see this for me to go see it in the theater.
Yeah,
to be honest, but we'll see if it's that way. Moving on, let's move on to our one cool thing segment. Each week we go around the table and share one cool thing that we've seen in the news or learned about this week. Bobby, you're going to start us off this week. What's your one cool thing?
Well, my one cool thing is that this week we had another addition to the cast of Black Panther, and that would be none other than Angela Bassett. She is going to be playing the role of Ramonda, who is the mother of T'Challa, aka Black Panther. And that's just, I mean, the icing on the cake at this point because we've already got so many good actors in this film. The most recent before Angela Bassett was, I believe it was Forrest Whitaker. And then you already had him joining Lupita Nyong'o, obviously Chadwick Boseman, Michael B. Jordan, Denai Guerrera, and who else? Let's see. Oh, Andy Serkis and Martin Sheen. So at this point, Ryan Coogler's assembled such a very good, well-rounded cast of actors that it's just making me more and more excited to see this movie. And we still have such a long time before it comes out because it comes out February 16th, 2018. But I believe it starts filming early next year, even maybe in January. So at least we'll start hearing more about the film as it's building up to getting a release. So just adding her to the cast is just another great move for this film and for Marvel as well, locking down another really great actress and actor for all the parts that they have so far. And I'm looking forward to it more and more.
Sweet.
That's my one cool thing.
I'll go next. My one cool thing is also casting news. It is, and correct me if I'm wrong, really our first bit of casting news from the new television show on CBS All Access, Star Trek Discovery. They have cast Michelle Yeoh. And it seemed like the news going around at first was basically she was cast. We didn't know what the role would be. Apparently, according to Deadline, it will actually not be a character on the Discovery. She will be the captain of another ship, which I guess will apparently play a huge role in this first season. I believe the ship is called the Shenzhou. She is the captain named Han Bo. But so she's not on the ship of the show, which we know very little about. But apparently she will still have a pretty prominent role in the show. And I'm excited about that because I've been like, trust me, I'm a huge Trek fan, but I feel like this show, I don't know what to make of it. It was supposed to come out this coming January or February,
Yeah.
and then that got pushed back because we've heard nothing about it, no casting. Obviously, they're not filming yet, and still to this day, I mean, this is the first bit of casting we've gotten. But to hear this is like, okay, this is cool. So hopefully, we get a lot more casting news soon and exciting casting news. Not to say that I'm sure we'll get a lot of, names and faces we've never heard of before, and that's fine. I just want a good show. So hopefully we get something soon. That's my one cool thing. Michelle, that leaves you. What's your one cool thing this week?
My one cool thing is that author Anne Rice was able to recapture the theatrical rights to the Vampire Chronicles. And anyone that's familiar with those have seen, movies based on these books. What is it? Interview with the Vampire, Queen of the Damned, so on and so forth. So these are characters like Louis, Armand, Lestat, Marius. But basically, so these stories that she wrote, she wants to bring them to the small screen, to TV. She feels that that's where these stories are the strongest, where she could really dive deeper into the characters and their storylines and watch Lestat over the centuries, quite literally, of his life. And she feels that it's going to be a much better representation of what she wanted out of these storylines. And she's working with her son. He's going to be a producer, but they're getting some plots, or they're getting pilots ready. And I'm curious to see what they'll do. I'm curious to see where they'll go. David actually had some interesting points on this because, these books are in certain ways fairly violent, but they're definitely hyper, if not overly sexualized. Like there's a lot in there.
And I've only read a couple of the books, but what I read was they're very sexual.
Yeah. No, yeah.
And I like these books, and this is exciting news to me too. Like, I think a television show is a perfect place for this. But for me, like she mentions, I think in her quote that she, wants them to be, a good representation of the books. That's not the way she worded it. That's a terrible way to word it. But for me, if you are hoping for that, it's going to have to be on the right network.
Yeah.
Like an HBO or Showtime or Netflix, if you weren't going to end up on a network like that, I mean, you pointed out, Bobby, like an AMC or FX. I mean, maybe on those networks, like worst case scenario for me, I could see a show on those networks that would still be entertaining and good. But I hope it's on another network that can really they don't have to pretty much hold back at all.
I mean, in the article that I read, it sounded like she was thinking more Game of Thrones-esque in the availability to showcase the violence and the sex and the storylines the way she wants. So yeah, I'm also hoping for HBO, Showtime, Cinemax level. This is definitely, additional pay cable television. So that's what I think everybody's pulling for. We'll see. Well, I guess worst case scenario would be FX or AMC. And I say that, not that those are bad stations. It's just that those will also limit what you'll get out of the stories, because she wants to try to honor these stories that she's written as best as she can. And I wish her well. I wish her and her son well. And I hope that it turns out well. And hopefully we'll get a good product out of it in the coming year or two that it's probably going to take to do.
And correct me if I'm wrong. It's my understanding too that she specifically said that they will skip Interview with the Vampire and go to the second book, which is the Vampire Lestat, and start from there. Yeah. Which I guess that's fine. And I liked the Interview with the Vampire film.
No, I mean, the film is really good.
And the Queen of the Dam film, which really, from my understanding too, was the Vampire Lestat and Queen of the Dam kind of put together. Mm-hmm. I hate it. So,
it's not a good film.
Couldn't care less about that film. So, no, I will be happy that will be remade in television form.
Yeah, no, it's not a good film. That was not a good film. No, but the Vampire Lestat and Queen of the Damned, the storyline it was not done justice on film in any way, shape, or form. Right. So hopefully, yes, they'll get to dive much deeper into the characters and the storyline. And yeah, I mean, I'm hoping for a Game of Thrones, Westworld. Give me a deeper show in that level to where they can do those kind of things. Like I just started watching Shameless. Man, there's a lot of sex in that. There's a lot of everything. You see a lot, but at the same time, like that's life. That's how it is. And I feel like, if she can get on HBO or Showtime or something like that, then she will get to prove this storyline to be what it's supposed to be.
I have a quote from her, and the quote seems to be very positive in the way that you feel like she's not going to let this suffer a fate to where it's lesser than what she would want it to be. Because in the quote she says, "Over the years, you all have told me how much you want to see a Game of Thrones style faithful rendering of this material, and how much you want for the series to remain in my control. Well, I have heard you. I have always heard you. What you want is what I want." So, I mean, it sounds as though now that she has rights back to it, she's not going to let anybody kind of dictate what her vision of what she wants is. And she mentions that she wants it to be of the highest quality. So I would say that if any network or whatever on TV is willing to play ball, then she doesn't look like she wants to compromise her vision, what is based off the books. Right. So I would assume wherever it ends up, we're going to get something that's pretty pure to what she wants it to be.
Yeah.
It's good news. It's all good news.
Yeah. Well, that really does it for the show this week. I will be staying up tonight to buy tickets for Rogue One because, for some reason they decided why not do this at midnight. I don't know why, but whatever. I'm not bitter.
Because they're catering to the West Coast.
Yeah, fuck you guys. You know what? Fuck you guys.
Hey, we rarely get anything that caters to
last us. Time it was fine. When Force Awakens came out, you know what? Like, it was perfect for both of us. You guys were able to buy your tickets in the afternoon, and we bought our tickets in the evening. That was fine. I don't know why that. I mean, it seemed to work before, other than the fact that they seemed to leak the ticket sales a little earlier than they had said they would. And I think, if I remember correctly, thank you, Bobby, for telling me about that.
Yeah.
Otherwise I would have waited till whenever they were supposed to go on sale and probably wouldn't have seen it when and where I wanted to. But Rogue One tickets go on sale tonight at midnight Eastern time. Again, for God only knows what reason. And, even though I got to work early tomorrow, I will be waiting for midnight and buying those tickets right then.
Thanks, buddy.
So, yeah.
But on the positive side, that probably means you'll be able to post the show pretty early.
Yeah, I mean, shit, I might as well post it tonight, right?
Yeah, you got time. Got to stay awake.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's that, I guess.
The positive, the sunny side of life.
Right.
Yeah.
Or I could just sit there and listen to Catalyst and,
That's
get
true.
myself pumped for buying Rogue One tickets.
Exactly.
Right.
Could you both?
No, I can't do both. That's not happening.
I'm kidding.
No, I know. But yeah, so tonight, Rogue One. Hopefully we will be happy with our reserve seat purchase. I mean, that's the only reason I even feel so it feels like I'm buying badges for Comic-Con.
Right.
If it weren't for the reserved seats, I'd be like, okay, I got to get tickets. But, as long as I get the showtime in this theater, cool, and I guess I'll have to go wait in line or whatever. But now with the whole reserved seats thing, I'm like, I want not only tickets in this one theater in town, but I want one of these two rows and hopefully in the middle because I'm way too anal about that kind of shit.
Yeah. So coming out this weekend is a film I'm excited for.
Which is?
Jackie.
Yeah, Jackie's coming out. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm excited about it. I'm not excited about Jackie, but I think it'll be good. But
I'm looking forward to it. I'm
Right.
looking forward to Natalie Portman in this film and just seeing the storyline from this perspective.
Right.
I think it's something that hasn't been told yet, really. So I'm looking forward to it. But also, Pet comes out.
What does?
Pet. Oh, have you I knew you've seen the trailer for this. This is the girl who gets captured, but looks like she twists it around, so she starts demonizing the capturer.
Why am I drawing a blank on
Oh,
that?
this looks pretty decent, actually. Yeah. Hold on, let me pull it up real quick. Jeanette McCurdy's in it. Dominic Monaghan's in it. He plays the guy that captures her, apparently.
That one. Okay.
I think it looks decent. No, I guess not for you. That was a no.
I'll have to watch the trailer again. I do remember, I think, seeing a trailer down. I think I've seen that. I'll have to watch it again.
But also Man Down comes out, too. That's the one with Shia LaBeouf. And he's at war and comes back with PTSD. And he loses, I guess, his best buddy. And that's how he's dealing with that. That's coming out this weekend, too.
Cool.
In case you were curious.
All right.
I don't know. I'm just bringing up what's happening in the movie world.
Did Miss Sloane come out in wide release?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Because
It's coming soon, right?
This list I'm looking at makes it seem like it did, but I didn't think it was out here.
It's not in wide release for sure because I didn't see it at some of the theaters I was checking for different stuff at.
Okay, because I see here a November 25th release, but yeah, this list is definitely wrong in terms of if it was wide or not.
And I mean, Nocturnal Animals, I don't think is technically wide release until the 9th.
No, it's not.
You and I saw this early, so people.
Right.
Nocturnal Animals still it's in a small release.
Yeah.
But wide release comes out December 9th. So David and I both liked it, so go see it.
Yeah. I recommend it. All right. Anything before we get out of here, guys?
I think that's it.
I think that's
honestly.
it. I think it's time to go. As always, we would love to hear back from you. Let us know how we did. Let us know what you think of the show, everything we talked about. You can email us at feedback@flickereffect.com. You can comment over on YouTube, youtube.com/flickereffect. Or you can call us at 407-308-5509. Leave us a voicemail. We may play your question or comment on the air. I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
I'm Michelle Curry.
Thanks for listening.